Hi guys, if you are looking for biodiversity then you are at right place because today we are going to discuss about the biodiversity, its types and how much it is important, or you can say significance of biodiversity. So let's introduction. What is biodiversity? As we can see, biodiversity contains two words. Bio that stand for life and diversity means variety. So biodiversity is basically diversity of life, okay, or variety of life. If you are confused about what is variety of life, then don't be confused. Let's make it simple. Variety of life means how many types of organisms or how many types of life exist in a region. So let's take an example to elaborate it. We take an ecosystem to contain many microbes like bacteria, algae and fungi. On other hand, it also contains many types of fauna and flora. Fauna comprises all types of animals that are heterotrophic in nature and depends on plants for their food. And on other hand, the flora contain all the photosynthetic plants that can prepare their own food. So if we subdivide them, microbes can be subdivided into bacteria, algae and fungi, which can be further subdivided into decomposers, aerobic and anaerobic bacteria, as we don't know much about them. So let's move to flora. Flora contain plants, some plants that produce cones called gymnosperm and other plants that produce flower called angiosperm. So now we will move to our fauna that is much familiar. So they include mammal, bird and fishes. Mammal can be subdivided into human, buffaloes or all the four limbs containing organisms with mammary gland. Now we move to our birds. Birds have many types like eagles, hummingbirds or all the organism containing wings. And third one is fishes, which are also known and have many types in oceans like sharks, jellyfish, starfish and much more. Guys, these are the varieties which are known to you, and also there are thousands of variants that might you don't know. So there are thousands of other varieties that are not even yet discovered. Our scientists are continuously working on them. So let's define biodiversity from the previous knowledge. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity can be defined as all the variety of organisms living in an ecosystem. I want to tell you some facts about biodiversity. About 1.4 million species have been described yet. About 1.4 million species. And it is estimated that there are about 4 to 30 million species are yet undiscovered. So now let's move towards the type of biodiversity. There are basically three types of biodiversity that include genetic diversity, species diversity and ecosystem diversity. These are basically level of biodiversity. Genetic diversity is basically diversity of gene or characters. Like in human, how many types of skin color do you observe? Black, brown, white and so many others. As well as you can see difference in height. Some people are tall, some people are dwarf or average. So these types of difference in gene or character of a species is called genetic diversity. So next is species diversity. That is about how many types and number of species exist in a region. Like if we see in our surrounding, we can observe many animals as well as plants and as well as microbes. There many types of species exist around us. So this is called species diversity. Now last one is the ecological diversity. Ecological diversity is basically the diversity of ecosystem in a region. For example, you can see mangrove ecosystem, rainforest, deserts and tundra ecosystem. These are very diverse ecosystem. They contain many different types of species in them. So now let's move toward the importance of biodiversity, or you can say significance of biodiversity. Our first heading is production of renewable resources. That include food, wood and fresh water. We know we depend upon plants for vegetables and as well as fruits, and on other animals like bacteria. Through biotechnology we get different products like cheese and yogurt. on other hand, we also get fuel like wood from plants and fresh water that is recycled by plant through transpiration. So as much diversity is present, we will get diverse type of food as well as fuel and water. Next point is our medicines. We know that thousands of plants used for medicinal values like Rosa indica, quina for malaria, as well as bacteria and fungi also used in biotechnology to get different products like penicillium and insulin and other drugs. Our third point is recycling of nutrients. As we know that all organisms depend on each other, when they interact they recycle nutrients. Like nutrients that a plant use when we eat it, then it will deposit in our body, and when decompose us they will again release in environment. So like that nutrients transfer from a biological world to biological world and then again back to the abiological world. Our next point is biodiversity lesson. Environmental changes. Environmental changes are much influenced by human activities, as we are destroying biodiversity by deforestation, which disturb water cycle and other process that lead to environment changes. So there is much biodiversity, there will be no sharp environment changes. Our next point is soil fertility. Biodiversity is also responsible for soil fertility. As we know, microorganisms are present in soil that provide nutrients by decomposition. Also, they aerate the soil so that air can move between the soil and gaseous exchange can occur. Our next point is biodiversity provide cultural services for human value and enjoyment. These include landscape and cultural heritage and outdoor recreations. Our next point is biodiversity like forest of plants hold back flood water and recycle carbon dioxide as well as other nutrients. So biodiversity is also important for these processes. Pollination is also dependent on variety of organism. As we know, pollens attach to the animals' bodies and then transfer to the next plant, and sexual reproduction of plants occur through this process. And if there is diversity of organisms, there will be much more pollination. Our next point is that biodiversity increases genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is very important for survival in changing environment as we are facing now. Scientists are trying to conserve endangered species because loss of species or diversity of species may lead to the loss of habitat or environment. Our next point is biodiversity influence food web. Diversity of animals make strong food web. If one organism lost, other organisms that depend on them not die. They can eat other varieties of organisms. Like human can eat wheat and vegetable and animals as well. If one of them lost, they will not die because they can change their diet. Our last point is that the biodiversity also influence the bioremediation. We will use organisms to control that are pathological or that are disturbing the environment will be controlled by other living organisms if there is diversity present. So these are the points that make biodiversity very unique. If there is biodiversity, there is survival, and if there is no biodiversity, there is no survival.